The National Union of Electricity Employees have commenced a nationwide strike with picketing of headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, in Abuja, and gradual shutting down of substations across the country. Already there is interruption of power supply across franchise areas of electricity distribution companies as a result of the impasse between National Union of Electricity Employees and TCN. The union strike, which commenced today, 17th August 2022, is to press home their demands, which include issues of promotion, alleged stigmatization of staff from the office of the head of service of the Federation from working in other areas in the power sector, and inability of the market operator to fund payment of entitlements of former Power Holding Company of Nigeria staff. Minister of State for Power had earlier pleaded with the union to shelve the planned strike to enable government to address their demands in the next 2 weeks. The appeal seemingly fell on deaf ears. The commencement of the strike is already considered by many as a threat to businesses and the citizens. The good news is that reports have it that the union officials are already meeting high-ranking government officials and other stakeholders for a possible resolution of the issues at stake. The questions are, what is the situation now and how soon will this strike end? What will be the impact on Nigeria and Nigerians? This is the focus of our discussion on Nigeria Today. I am Lydia Odijeochi. Thank you for joining us. Joining me now in the studio for more insight as we analyze the electricity employees nationwide strike is Bode Fadigbe, CEO, Sage Consulting and Communications. Thank you for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Also with us in the studio is Kule Olubio, President, Nigeria Consumer Protection Network. Olubio.
Yeah, Olubio. Yeah.
That's it. Welcome to
Olubio. That's how it's called in Kaba language.
All right.
Language.
All right.
Lingua. Yeah,
thank you. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, I think I'll stick with Kule for now.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's begin with this. Why the strike in the first place and the implication of the strike generally?
Well, the world over, electricity is the life wire of any nation.
Yes.
Talk about security, job creation, constructive and positive engagement of the youth. Electricity is all about productivity, your GDP and national income. So the implication is that as at 2 days ago, the minister issued a letter trying to appeal to the union. But from the details, from my interaction, because as end users of electricity, we are the receiving end of all these infractions. Services have been disrupted. The last warning that was issued to government was in May this year, that they are going to, and this crisis has been on initially 2013, it snowballed to below equilibrium in 2019, and between 2019 to date, there have been 17 different correspondences between the labor and leadership of the concerned agency. Toxic working environment, poor motivation of staff. It happened in NAC, it happened in AADC. We raised up the matter because staff motivation is at the bottom of efficient service delivery. So we're all at the receiving end of it, but just like any other nation, we are at the teaching stage of evolution of development. We'll definitely get there. These issues, we just have to pay one sacrifice or the other, and definitely this issue, we are sure as government is talking to them, they are going to be resolved within the shortest possible time.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Now, Bode, let me come to you. Obviously, the issues at stake are seemingly internal issues. Why should the entire country pay for such?
Well, that's a brilliant question. Why should the entire country pay for such? I think this is my own perspective. It is what you have that you can actually use to get what you want. Unions are known to be to resort to strike only and if only their peaceful demands are not met at what they may regard as appropriate time. Let's take the issue of the ASUU, for instance. Not unrelated, because it's also an industrial relations issue. ASUU gave a lot of warnings. They informed government. They started by warning strike and then said, okay, if you don't do anything, we'll roll this over, we'll roll this over. And they have rolled it over for 6 months. The same thing, I mean, Kunle and I have been on, luckily enough, I've crossed to the other side, so we can stand on it on the same turf. But the point I'm trying to make is, we have been in this environment for quite some time. If Labour says these are the issues that we want you to deal with, and they have written 17 letters, and it's only when they wielded the big stick that those who are recipients of the letter are moving to action, then it's quite unfortunate. What we are seeing is a culture of disregard. That's what we are saying. That look, do whatever. Why is it that we have to get to this point before we can come back to the negotiation table, and we are rushing the negotiation now? And at the end of the day, you find out that the same thing that government did not want to sign, government will now sign under duress. And then we'll come back tomorrow and say, you are giving us, we signed an agreement that cannot be implemented. Why didn't you start from the very first time they began to give you notice that this is what is the problem is, this is what the problem? Yes, it's a purely internal issue, but it goes beyond an internal issue. It goes to the respect respect for agreements. If we have agreed on something, why unilaterally change it? If you can no longer respect those agreements, call me back to the table. I mean, that's what civility is all about. Call me back to the table. We discuss the issue. Look, gentlemen, in view of extant situations, we can no longer respect this. I mean, anybody will look for a competent person to do his work. And one of the ways by which you can determine competency is to test the competency of the person that you want to put in a job. So if they are saying that before you move from principal manager to an AGM level, we want to see your competency in that area, it's only fair. But if the agreement prior to that time was that we will not go through that route, then that agreement has to be respected. I remember very clearly that in some other conversations about the power sector, the coordinator of the generating companies of Nigeria said one of the major concerns they have in this power sector is lack of respect for the sanctity of contracts. So if you cannot respect simple agreements, then you probably will not respect major international agreements, and it goes to the level of to the issue of confidence in the drivers of the sector.
It's okay. Kunle, already Nigerians are battling with issues with insufficient energy and all that, of course. Now, can we quantify losses that people and businesses will incur?
Well, we are not even looking at. We are just getting out of the wood, because between December 2021 to May, it was terrible. We were picking load of 2,800 due to gas legacy issues. Mr. President, from his background, is a retired military general, and if you are talking about warfare, that's his area of core competence. He has engaged people in fairness to him, and no administration has given the level of approval. 2.9 trillion naira investments in the power sector in a supposedly private sector driven.
I mean,
it's quite despicable. Intervention for us to even have the level of stability that we are enjoying now. Federal government had to offer commitment to the Niger Delta Power Holding Company for commitment to gas. The gas company said we are owing them $1 billion, and without that they are not going to pay. Gas, when we discover crude oil and gas, we did not get it right with our JVC and JVA, joint venture contract and joint venture agreement. We just said, look, sell this thing wholly and put some money in our foreign account. Ordinarily, the OPEC benchmark says 50% for domestic, 50% for export. Now the one that's supposed to be domestic, the essence of it is that you have domestic gas obligation. The gas you use, your cooking gas, the domestic obligation that you use to fire the industry. We sell all our commodity export, commission and interest. We are always happy that our balances is increasing, foreign reserve. It's not done anywhere. And this, the gas, as a gas producing company, nation, we're not supposed to be experiencing what we are experiencing. The UN benchmark said 1,000 megawatts for 1 million people. If you do 4,000 that we are doing now, that means only 4 million people have access to energy. That is the height of energy poverty. So the nation is at the receiving end of these shenanigans. South Africa, that has a population that is not up to 200 million. Nigeria population is 206 million. They are doing not less than 50,000 megawatts. Look at the same thing in Egypt. They are doing the same thing. Egypt was able to wrap up their energy by 25 to 30,000 megawatts. Within the short span, after the Middle East uprising or what have you. But with the more investment, I sympathize with Mr. President, because this is a sector that the more money you ask for, the more the president approves, the lesser the power we get. The more increase the tariff, the lesser the services and power we get. So we need, by 2023, we gave out this power sector to private sector in 2013. By 2018, we're supposed to have midterm review of the privatization. We gave them 10 years moratorium. 2018, 5 years midterm review. The operators or players lobbied the regulatory institutions to make sure that midterm review was not done. This is Nigeria, where you have Nigerians packaging the PID, conflict of interest, allowing their personal interest to override national interest. So now, by 2023, this license is going to expire. This model we have, this portfolio in Yoruba language, you understand what I'm saying? Portfolio, people whose addresses were just in their briefcases. Before they were given the license, they had no pedigree of being in power business anywhere in the world. So we got it wrong, and by 2023, we want to go back to the drawing board, put all our issues on the table and get it right, because this set of group that we have, or the model we are running now, will not take us to the promised land.
Okay, let's take a break now. We'll be back to talk some more. Stay with us.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms.
Start Times Channel 101, Freak TV Channel 703, GSTV Channel 419, and Go TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers.
NTA News 24.
News and more news.
You're welcome back to the program. We've been talking about the electricity employees nationwide strike, and I still have Bode Fadikpe, CEO Sage Consulting and Communications, and also with me in the studio is Kunle Olubiyo, President, Nigeria Consumer Protection Network. Let me come to you, Bode. Now, we learned that union officials are already meeting with government officials to resolve this impasse. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
I can only guess, because I'm not even in the meeting. I can only guess. If there is one thing that this country, maybe administration officials are very good at, it is fire brigade approach to issue. Oh, Mr. President has given a marching order. Go and there's always an order to be marched upon, or an order to march for. That go and make sure just do everything. So I won't be surprised if by 12 midnight today we suddenly hear that the strike has been called off because agreements have been reached. as gladdening as that news will be, the question we want to ask is, for how long are we going to live on the basis of those agreements before somebody will abuse those agreements again, and we will come back to this same NTA studio. We'll come back and discuss another strike, another blackout as a result of strike, which has been brought about by lack of respect for simple agreements. We will come back to this at the risk of being a prophet. We will come back to this table because look, the issue of system collapse, we have been every day we have been going to Good Morning Nigeria to discuss it. Nothing has changed. Nothing. So if they are discussing now, good and fine, it is the usual Nigerian reaction to situations. They will sign agreements, the strike will be called off. But the question is, before you know what is in another 6 months' time, maybe by December, we're probably going to come back here again, because before you know what is happening, we'll get into the dry season. We'll start talking about the power sector again. Now we are in the rainy season, where there seems to be so much water in the dam, and there seems to be some stability. Now this one is coming up. By the time we get to December again, we'll come back and discuss the power sector.
Kule, in the past, advocacy for privatization was premised on the fact that there will be more efficiency across value chains. This is contrary to what we're witnessing. Well, how would you react to this?
Well, you cannot build something on nothing. The result of what we are getting is a result of the contraction we put together. You know, Nigerians that were being and is being paid on public funds were given some level of responsibility that are tied to public trust. And so we've not done an inquest or review of those who play what role or the other. There are other clauses that comes with agreement. One thing I know, like Bode said, is that in the PID and some other agreement, Greenfield agreement or what have you, it is so bad, our commitment to nationhood or patriotism, that you see a foreigner will bring agreement and they will pay your price as a Nigerian, and you adopt that agreement hook, line, and sinker. I've never seen any country in the world that have this culture of impunity. Even when you have agreement at the MDA, there's a legal drafting department of the Ministry of Justice. As a legal advisor of any MDA or ministry, you're supposed to send it there to vet the line, to make sure that you don't commit. I've seen a minister that will not go through policy file, we just say personal essay, treat. And when they issue letter on behalf of the federal government, it becomes vicarious liability on government. So this culture of personal interest, allowing it to override national interest, I sometimes wonder how this nation have been able to survive this type of unholy, affront. We don't have love for this nation. That's the major problem. I alone, until we began to see, we have this spirit of commitment and patriotism. If an American is stranded anywhere in the world, the country will make sure they deploy all the resources to get them out. Am I right? We don't have that kind of commitment for Nigeria. So Nigerian problems are local. And we need to demonstrate leadership and sincerity of purpose. Not until we get there. You're talking about private sector. Now, people who indicated interest to take over the paradigm shift of the private sector driven economy in the power sector, they said they had the resources. Some of them got some foreign brand, went to corporate affairs, 3 days to this thing. If you say XY company that is known as a global brand, for example, KEPCO and some companies abroad, they went and do what they call Jankara package. You use their name, the company is not involved. You form equity and you make those people who are supposed to bring in the wherewithal nominal shareholders or equity stakeholders. So it was a marriage of convenience. Like Nigerians, when they want to get papers, they will go and look for Akata or Igbo and say, please marry me, give me papers. That was exactly what we did. Okay. This lot that we have now is a fraudulent contract. And because, if not for the windows of the bank, sometimes we sympathize because they created a law in drafting. Those who were at BPE, who draft the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, already had it in mind that they will be the end beneficiary, and some of them are. So they drafted a lot of other clauses and this and that were not in favor of Nigeria. I said, disservice to this nation. And by 2023, we say, look, let's put all our reasons together and go to the drawing table and get it right. Because we are being strangulated as end users of electricity. The model we have now, we can't break.
Okay, now let me come to you, Bode. How do, from what he said now, what he has enumerated now, how do we get it right this time around?
Well, I think it's a very simple thing. In my 100-level political science class, what I was told was that politics is the superstructure. Every other part of the economy is the substructure, religion, education, and all of those things. So we need the political will to deal with this matter. I know that currently, on account of the fact that some discos were taken over, by the banks, there are legal issues going on, legal contestations going on. I belong to the legal profession as well, so I have absolute respect for the rule of law. But it's not everything that the rule of law can cure. There are also lacunas here and there that political structure can deal with. So I think very strongly, and I stand to be corrected, that we need to get back to the drawing board to discuss what and what. I know that there are things that government can do, legally speaking, to take back this sector. I know clearly. But government may not want to go in that, without even paying a kobo. Government may not even want to go in that direction. There is no, let's lay the cards on the table. No matter how tight a law is, and I stand to be corrected, no matter how tight a law is, there will be loopholes that can be exploited to get out of what is a news. So let it not be that, government cannot take back the power sector. No, government can take it back without even paying a dime. Government can do it. And they know when they put their intelligentsia together, they will reason it out and get out of this news. But I'm saying that, look, these people have been there for us to invest in the power sector that we had almost lost complete confidence in. They put their money down, they have put their blood down, their sweat. Some of them, they are earning for several years of their lives. They have put it down. They will not be allowed to go empty-handed. But they should not also hold this country to ransom. So all parties concerned, NBET, NEC, BPE, Ministry of Power, the investors themselves, and even customers' representatives. Let's sit down together, look at the issues, where can we make adjustments? Can you still continue? Because Kunle raised a very powerful point. The capacity, the financial capacity, because some of them, what they just did was to arrange the financial bid. Two fundamentals were considered: the technical bid and the financial bid. Financial bid can be arranged by a very brilliant accountant to show you a cash flow that is sustainable and to show you an accounts book that is clean. So once you can get away with that one, but do they really have the capital? How many of them brought in foreign investments?
No. Good question. Now your final words as a roundup. We're almost done.
Well, there is hope. And because what we are discussing here is about social security. If we don't get it right with electricity, to create wealth, to create jobs, to upscale constructive and positive engagement of the nation and bring Nigeria back to reindustrialization, then we'll be sitting on the gunpowder. And that is why electricity is germane to sustainable growth and development.
Thank you very much. That's it on the program, Nigeria Today. I want to thank my guests, Bode Fadipe, CEO, Sage Consulting and Communications. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And also Kunle Olubiyo, President, Nigeria Consumer Protection Network.
And thank you, our beautiful host.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Attires.
Yes, this is the Igede people from Benue State.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think you are an Igede brand ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you. And to you, our viewers, too, for always keeping the date. The program is weekdays at 7:30 p.m. You can watch this and other episodes at www.youtube.com/NTNews24hub. I am Lydia Odijochi. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye-bye.